Hi Tim, this is Alan Cocker with ABC, former hitting coach for the Colorado Rockies and the Seattle Mariners. We're going to take a look at your video this morning. We'll do a little analysis. Tim, the first thing that I always look for with guys is just to make sure that they're balanced and athletic in their setup. And that would mean knees inside the feet, and that would mean that the head is inside the knees. You can see here you're in a good, very conventional, balanced setup. I like the fact that your head and eyes are fully turned towards the pitcher. You're getting a good 3 o'clock, 9 o'clock look at the baseball. Very solid setup. Okay, we're going to take this into the load phase. All right. Now keep in mind, in the load, we're trying to keep this as slow and as rhythmic as we possibly can. We're trying to get into a position to when the foot lands, it's going to land softly, and it's going to give us enough time to be able to find the baseball as best we can. Okay, so for me, in the load phase, what I'm doing is I'm gathering and I'm storing energy to the inside part of this back leg. Okay, this knee's still going to stay inside this back foot, but I want to feel my weight gathering into this area right in here, the inside part of the knee or the inside part of that back thigh. Okay, the next phase of the load is a term that I'm sure you've heard, is getting my foot down. With most hitters, their toe will land first, okay, but it is not until the heel firmly plants into the ground, and I guess that would be right into this area here. When this heel plants into the ground, I'm checking to make sure I got some things in place here. The first thing that I check for is, am I still inside my feet? You are, and you are here, okay? The next thing that I check for is, are my hips squared up to home plate? Right here. We got just a little bit of a leak with that front hip starting to come out just a little early. That would, for me, that could mean a couple things. I was a little late getting my heel planted into the ground so that my hips could stay square. You know, again, we're trying to get to that separation where there's that little bit of pause where my foot's down and then I start my swing. And if that part of the process happens a little bit late, then our brain says hurry up. And generally our brain when it says hurry up, my front side will start my swing as opposed to my back side. Okay? The other thing that I check for when we get to this point is that my front foot, when it lands or the heel plants, that I'm no more open than 45 degrees. Okay, you're at 50, and that's not too bad. Again, I try to keep my guys at 45 or less than 45 degrees just to make sure that this front hip doesn't want to leak out of there in that direction too quickly. Okay, now once we get heel planted, we've got two first moves. We've got a lower half first move, and the lower half is direction to the baseball. It's also drive through the baseball. So in a sense, that's where my power comes from. Okay, so I want my first move, I want it to be not my front hip coming out of there. I want my first move to be this back knee driving into my front leg. All that energy that I stored right into here, I want to now transfer that or shift that weight into the inside part of my stride leg. Okay? As that happens, we're going to start to make our first move with our hands. Our first move with our hands is the elbow. I'm sure you've heard the term. I'm going to drop my elbow down into the slot. And the slot is just off the rib cage or just off the back hip. Okay, so we're going to drop it down in there. We'll see if that takes place. Okay, we're going to drop it right into here. Actually, this video won't allow me to stop it at that point. Okay, but once we get to this point, probably half a click back, what I should see is a connection. It's a connection with the back shoulder, the back elbow, and the back hip all being in alignment. Okay, once I get to that connected point, that will add up with the energy that this has given me with my lower half, the power that that's given me, okay, into that front leg. And then at that point, your hands will start to move in front of your body. As we can see here, your hands have started to move in front. They'll move just past the center of gravity, which is basically your belt buckle or your belly button. They'll start to get just in front of your body, okay? We'll run it forward, and then we'll start to deliver the barrel. we can see here when we get to contact, okay, we can't stop it at contact, so I'll go back just prior to contact. Right here, we're starting to see some good things with palm up, palm down, and I want to continue to see this head and eyes pointed down, right, looking right down the barrel at contact. I want you to know it's very important that if I can discipline myself to keep my head and eyes in the hitting area at and past contact, then I will get a good full extension of my barrel staying through the baseball. Okay? If my head and eyes leave prior to contact, then that's the direction my bat's going to go to. So in a sense, when my head and eyes leave the hitting area, my swing is over. One of the things that I talk to my hitters about endlessly is that we're gonna create good habits, and I want to have the good habit of keeping my head and eyes down in the hitting area for at least one count past contact. That will allow for full extension through the baseball. Okay, we'll run this forward into the follow-through phase. Okay, and you can see here you finished under good balance, which is good, very good. And we're going to take this back and see if we can't work on maybe one thing. When we get to the heel plant position, okay, we'd like to see just a little bit more drive with that front back knee into that front thigh, okay? And then we're going to try to get this connection where back shoulder, back elbow, and back hip are all in alignment. We're going to get to that position, and then we're going to stop. Now, what I want you to do is take a tee and set it on the outside half or outside third of home plate, just even with your front foot or maybe even slightly inside your front foot, okay? And we're going to get drive into my front side, right into here. I'm going to get this connection, okay? And then from there, I'm going to allow my hands to go in front of my body and throw my barrel and release my barrel through the baseball, okay? So if we're doing this drill in a cage, we want to feel the extension and the barrel release staying through that ball through the right side of the cage. If we're doing this on a field, we want to feel that release and that extension and that ball flight to be a low line drive through the second baseman or a line drive into that right center field gap. Okay? What we want to stay away from is we want to stay away from our hands right here getting in front of this power source too quickly. Okay? All this is going to add up. This shoulder, this elbow, and this back hip are going to add up, and then I'm going to release the barrel or throw the barrel. It would be very similar to when we take a flat rock and we skip it across a lake. I'm going to drop that elbow down into the slot, and then the hand goes in front of my body, and I throw that rock to get it to skip across the lake. So we don't want our hands working in front of our power source prior to this connection right here. I hope that makes sense. The other thing I think with you is just making sure that we're nice and squared up here, and we're really getting some good drive with your lower half. Okay, I think that will help you tremendously. And again, remember, keep that load. We've got to have timing and rhythm, but keep it slow enough so that that front foot can land softly, and we're getting that little pause, that little separation before the back knee starts and then the connection takes place. All right? I want to thank you for coming to our camp, and best of luck, bud.